You won't believe what happened when I poured a jar of old bread-soaked water into my garden soil. No chemicals, no complicated experiments, just one simple trick. Suddenly, the soil seemed alive. Worms appeared like magic, turning the dirt rich and soft. In this video, I'll show you why bread water attracts worms, how to use it safely, and the mistakes to avoid. Watch closely, you'll learn a tiny, easy step that can make a huge difference in your garden. Meet Mrs. Huxley, 76 years old, with a warm smile and a voice as soft as morning sunlight. In her tiny backyard garden, which she lovingly calls the patch of second chances, she finds joy in giving life to things others might throw away. Mrs. Huxley hates waste. She saves everything: onion skins, leftover tea leaves, even broken wooden spoons, believing every scrap has a purpose. One rainy afternoon, she was doing her usual ritual, soaking stale bread in a jar of water to feed her compost heap. It was something she'd done countless times, thinking little of it. But that day, something unusual caught her eye. As she poured the murky bread water over the soil, tiny wriggling movements appeared, almost like the soil itself was breathing. Curious, she leaned closer. Worms, drawn to the mixture, began to surface and burrow actively, turning the soil soft and rich. For Mrs. Huxley, it wasn't just about worms, it was about discovering magic in the everyday. She realized that small, thoughtful actions could transform her garden, her food, and even her spirit. And she wants to share that secret with you. In this video, we'll walk alongside her, uncovering why something as simple as bread water can awaken life beneath your feet, and how you too can use it safely and effectively in your own garden. Mrs. Huxley had always been careful in her garden, tending to every patch of soil as if it were a living thing. But one morning, she spotted a jar of bread water sitting on her kitchen counter that she had forgotten. It had been left out for far too long. The water was softening, fermenting, and, truth be told, it smelled a little off. The kind of smell that makes most people wrinkle their noses and think, "This is garbage." Yet, Mrs. Huxley hesitated. Throwing it away felt wrong. Waste had always been something she avoided, not out of frugality alone, but because she believed even the smallest scraps could have purpose. So, with a mix of curiosity and stubbornness, she carried the jar to her tomato bed and poured the murky, slightly stinky liquid into the soil. She didn't expect much. Maybe a few tiny wriggles, maybe nothing at all. She went about her morning chores, watering, pruning, and checking her garden beds. But the next day, curiosity pulled her outside. And that's when she saw it. Worms. Everywhere. Not tiny, feeble worms. Healthy, plump, vibrant worms. They were drawn to the soil where the bread water had soaked in, moving toward it with a clear sense of purpose. Some burrowed quickly, turning the soil into soft, crumbly earth. Others wiggled along the surface, as if inspecting this new, moisture-rich paradise she had unknowingly created. Mrs. Huxley's heart skipped a beat. Was it magic? Was it luck? Or had she accidentally stumbled onto something real and extraordinary? She had always known worms were good for soil. They aerate it, help nutrients move, and make it rich for growing vegetables, but she had never seen anything like this happen so quickly. It was as if the soil itself had come alive. Yet even in her excitement, a question nagged at her. Is this safe? Could pouring fermenting bread water hurt my plants or the worms? She didn't know, and that uncertainty made the discovery even more fascinating. This moment planted a seed of curiosity, one that would lead her, and now deeper into understanding the surprising ways simple, everyday materials can nurture life beneath the surface. In the next part, we'll explore exactly why bread water attracts worms, what makes it safe, and the mistakes gardeners often make when trying it themselves. But for now, imagine standing in her shoes, peering into that tiny patch of soil, and watching life appear from something as humble and forgotten as a jar of old bread water. That sense of wonder is exactly what keeps gardeners like Mrs. Huxley digging, experimenting, and discovering the small miracles that lie hidden in everyday life. So, what really happened when Mrs. Huxley poured that jar of old bread water onto her tomato bed? Let's break it down in a simple, safe way. Bread water is, at its core, just carbohydrate-rich moisture. When bread soaks and softens in water, it releases sugars and starches. Left out for a while, it begins to ferment. That's when yeast and beneficial microbes start to grow, creating that slightly sour, tangy smell that might make you wrinkle your nose. But for worms, that smell is like a dinner bell. Worms naturally follow decaying organic matter in the soil. They are drawn to moisture and nutrients, especially those created by microbes breaking down plant matter. The breadwater didn't create worms. They were already in the soil, but it acted as a magnet, drawing them to the spot and encouraging them to move, burrow, and aerate the earth. This is exactly what makes soil rich and fertile. Here's the important part: safety. Breadwater is helpful, but only if used correctly. Always dilute it before pouring it on your garden beds. A little goes a long way. Large amounts of fermenting breadwater can encourage mold, attract pests, or create unpleasant smells. Think of it as a gentle snack for your soil microbes, not a replacement for compost. Regular compost still provides the broader range of nutrients your plants need, but a small, well-diluted jar of breadwater can give your soil a microbe-friendly boost. This little trick is also a wonderful lesson in observation and curiosity. Mrs. Huxley didn't plan this discovery. It came from noticing, experimenting, and being willing to try something simple and unusual. That's often where gardening magic happens, in the everyday scraps we overlook, the tiny risks we take, and the patience to watch and learn. So here's a question for you. Have you ever tried something unusual in your garden, on purpose or by accident? Maybe it was a leftover vegetable, coffee grounds, or even something unexpected like Mrs. Huxley's breadwater. What happened when you did? Sharing these stories reminds us all that gardening isn't just about plants. It's about discovery, connection, and a little wonder in the soil beneath our feet. Next, we'll show exactly how to prepare and use breadwater safely, step by step, so you can try this microbe-friendly trick in your own garden without worrying about mistakes. How to make breadwater safely. Now that we understand why breadwater attracts worms and benefits the soil, let's walk through how to make it safely, step by step. This guide is designed for gardeners of all ages, but especially for seniors who want simple, low-risk methods that actually work. Step 1. Take 1 slice of stale bread. Don't worry if it's a bit hard or leftover from a few days ago. That's perfect. Avoid moldy bread, as that could introduce harmful spores. Step 2. Place it in a jar with 2 to 3 cups of water. A clear jar works best so you can watch what's happening. Use room temperature water and make sure the bread is fully submerged. Step 3. Let it sit 24 to 48 hours max. During this time, the bread will soften, ferment slightly, and develop that tangy smell. Never leave it longer than 48 hours. Prolonged fermentation can lead to excessive mold or pests. Step 4. Strain the mixture. Pour the liquid through a sieve or fine cloth to remove bread pieces. The liquid is what you'll use. Leftover solids can be added to compost. Step 5. Dilute again by half with fresh water. This ensures the mixture is gentle enough for soil and won't overwhelm microbes or plants. Think of it like giving your garden a small, nourishing drink rather than a flood. Step 6. Pour only around outdoor soil. Never use this on indoor potted plants. The smell, plus potential mold, can be unpleasant indoors. Focus on garden beds, vegetable patches, or areas where worms can safely thrive. Optional benefits. Feeds beneficial soil microbes, helping plants absorb nutrients more effectively. Adds mild organic matter, gently improving soil structure. Attracts worms that aerate soil, turning it into soft, crumbly, fertile ground. Mrs. Huxley loves this step because it's simple, sustainable, and surprisingly effective. You don't need fancy fertilizers or complicated mixtures, just a little curiosity, patience, and leftover bread. The joy comes in watching life appear in your soil, one tiny wriggle at a time, and knowing you've done something small that creates real, lasting impact in your garden. Gardening isn't only about harvests. It's about observing, experimenting, and delighting in small miracles. This breadwater trick embodies that perfectly. It's safe, senior-friendly, and can turn forgotten scraps into a source of soil life. So grab that stale slice, mix, wait, and watch your soil come alive, just like Mrs. Huxley did in her patch of second chances. Over the next few weeks, Mrs. Huxley began to notice subtle changes in her garden. At first, they were almost too small to see. Soil that had once been compacted and dry now felt softer under her fingers. Tiny tunnels appeared in the earth, evidence of busy worms moving through the soil, aerating it and leaving behind natural fertilizer. Her tomato plants, once a little wobbly and pale, now stood sturdier, their leaves glossier and more vibrant. Even after watering, moisture seemed to linger longer, as if the soil itself had learned to hold on to life more efficiently. Each day, as she walked through her tiny patch of second chances, she could see the quiet, powerful effect of her small efforts. Mrs. Huxley didn't transform into a master gardener overnight. There were missteps, bread water left a little too long, soil that seemed stubborn despite her care, but she learned patience and observation. She discovered that consistent, gentle attention to the garden, even with small, seemingly insignificant actions, could bring the soil back to life. Every scrap saved, every experiment tried, became part of the story her garden was telling. And that's the real lesson she wants to share. Gardening is not only about grand techniques or expensive tools, it's about care, curiosity, and repetition. Nature responds to thoughtful attention, and life can flourish in places you once thought tired or depleted. For seniors watching this, Mrs. Huxley's experience carries a deeper message. Sometimes the smallest scraps we save still have work left to do, whether it's a slice of bread, an onion skin, or even a small gesture in life. What seems insignificant can have a lasting impact. By the end of this journey, her garden was more than just a patch of soil. It was a living testament to patience, observation, and respect for life in all its forms. The earthworms, the softened soil, the thriving tomatoes, and the lingering moisture were all reminders that slow, careful nurturing pays off. This is the kind of transformation that doesn't just happen in gardens, it happens in life too. One small, consistent act of care can ripple outward, creating visible, lasting change. And for anyone watching, the takeaway is simple: start small, stay curious, and pay attention. Life, whether in the soil or in your daily actions, responds to care, patience, and love. What not to do? As helpful as bread water can be, it's just as important to know what not to do, especially for seniors who want a safe, pleasant gardening experience. Missteps can create pests, odors, or even plant problems. Let's go step by step. 1. Don't pour it near kitchens, patios, or outdoor eating areas. Bread water has a mild fermentation smell, and it can attract ants, flies, or other unwanted insects. Keep it confined to garden beds where worms can benefit, and you can enjoy peace without pests invading your home. 2. Don't use moldy bread or bread with oils, sugar, or toppings. Moldy bread can introduce harmful spores, while bread with oils, butter, or sweet spreads can attract pests and even harm soil microbes. Stick to plain, stale bread. The simpler, the safer. 3. Don't overuse it. Even good things can become too much. Once every 2 to 3 weeks is plenty. Overuse can create excessive fermentation, unpleasant smells, or mold growth. Remember, small, gentle doses are better than flooding the soil. 4. Don't use it near pets' play areas. Dogs, cats, and other pets may be curious about the smell or even try to eat it. While bread water isn't toxic, it's best to avoid accidental messes or stomach upsets. Pour only in areas where pets won't dig or play. 5. Don't pour it on potted indoor plants. Indoor plants can't handle the smell or occasional mold growth that might develop. Using bread water inside can create odors, attract small pests, and even promote fungus on potting soil. Outdoor garden beds are perfect because worms, moisture, and microbes thrive there. The goal of these cautions is simple: maximize benefits while keeping your garden safe, clean, and enjoyable. Mrs. Huxley learned these lessons through gentle trial and error. She discovered that following a few clear rules kept her garden thriving, without unwanted surprises. For seniors, this is more than gardening advice. It's about trust. You can try something new without fear, knowing that small precautions protect both your plants and your space. Curiosity and care go hand in hand, and understanding what not to do is just as important as knowing what to try. Gardening isn't just about results, it's about the process. Taking a moment to follow safety steps ensures that your experiments remain safe, rewarding, and free from stress. Mrs. Huxley's little patch of second chances became a haven, not only because of the bread, water, but also because she respected limits, observed carefully, and adapted her actions based on what worked and what didn't. So, as you try this simple, worm-attracting trick, remember, follow these guidelines, start small, and enjoy watching your soil come alive, safely, responsibly, and with plenty of joy. Even small, thoughtful precautions can make all the difference in creating a garden that's lively, healthy, and worry-free. By now, Mrs. Huxley had learned something far greater than a simple garden trick. She realized that pouring bread water into the soil wasn't just about attracting worms or giving a quick boost to her tomatoes. It was about nourishing life at every level. Each little wriggle of a worm, each softened clump of earth, was a reminder that small, thoughtful actions can ripple outward in ways we often don't notice immediately. She saw that she wasn't just feeding the worms. She was feeding her soil, enriching the foundation that allowed her plants to grow strong and healthy. And in doing so, she was feeding her garden, turning it into a lively, thriving space full of potential. But there was more. She realized she was feeding something even deeper within herself, her sense of purpose, her joy, and her connection to life. Gardening became a mirror for how small acts of care, whether for soil, plants, or people, create meaningful change. There is a quiet kind of magic in seeing life respond to gentle, consistent attention. Mrs. Huxley's garden showed her that nothing in nature is truly wasted, not even stale bread, not even a handful of leftover leaves, not even the small moments we think might be insignificant. Everything has potential, waiting for the right conditions to shine. The soil, the worms, the plants, they all remind us of this truth. What we care for, no matter how humble, can grow into something far greater than we imagined. For seniors watching this, there is a powerful life lesson here. We often overlook small opportunities, dismissing them as unimportant or too simple. Yet, as Mrs. Huxley discovered, the smallest scraps, whether in your garden or in life, may still have work left to do. A forgotten slice of bread, a tiny seed, a kind word, they all carry potential. What matters is patience, observation, and willingness to nurture what is often unseen at first glance. This takeaway is more than gardening wisdom. It's a gentle call to curiosity, mindfulness, and respect for life in all its forms. By embracing the small, overlooked moments, we cultivate not just thriving soil or fruitful plants, but a deeper sense of satisfaction, purpose, and connection to the world around us. Mrs. Huxley's final reflection captures it beautifully. Nothing in nature is really wasted, not even stale bread. And as we carry that idea with us, we see that our gardens, our actions, and even our simplest efforts can bring life, joy, and meaning into spaces we might have thought ordinary or empty. Small acts, repeated with care, have the power to transform not just the soil under our hands, but our hearts as well. If this video of Mrs. Huxley and her tiny patch of second chances taught you something new, sparked a smile, or reminded you of the small joys in your own garden, go ahead and give this video a like. Every like helps more gardeners discover simple, low-cost ways to nurture life in their soil. Do you know someone who loves frugal gardening tips, clever tricks, or just appreciates the magic in everyday scraps? Share this video with them. Let's spread the joy of discovery and inspire others to see the potential in what they might otherwise toss away. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors. Here, wisdom grows deeper with every video, and gardens grow sweeter with every tip. Join a community where curiosity, patience, and care are celebrated, and where small acts, like a slice of stale bread, can lead to big, beautiful results. Remember, your garden, like your heart, responds to gentle, consistent attention. By watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing, you're joining a family of seniors who believe in the power of nurturing life. One small step at a time. Let's keep discovering together.